Hey now, ladies and gentlemen. Hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, the hey now, to the hey now. Had to get that stretch out. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Line Talk 99.5. Carrie with us this hour. Yes, sir. Carrie, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, or doing well, I should say.
You're doing good. That was actually a pretty strong "I'm doing good" that you provided.
That's something in my throat.
I'm doing good.
Kicks 106.
How about that protein powder? Yeah, I got my Kicks 106 shirt. You remember this station?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Did you work for it?
No, it was way before my time.
Was it?
Yeah.
I never listened to it.
Kicks
I just
106.
found the shirt. I thought it was cool.
It is pretty cool.
I had the engineer, Frank, stop me in the hallway. He's like, "Where'd you get that shirt?"
You've been in the prize closet.
I said, "I bought it on the internet." He's like, "I programmed that station back in the 70s."
I don't think there's a station in Birmingham that Frank has not programmed at one time.
Yeah, it's wild.
He knows all.
He does.
Talking about somebody that knows where the bodies are buried, that's Frank.
What's funny is I was listening to a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was listening to a podcast with, who was on this podcast? Was it, I think it was Rick Carley and Bubba Bussey was on there too.
Oh, yeah.
And they were talking about old stories from like back in the day. And they were telling one story and they were like, yeah, and our engineer, Frank. And I'm like, that's my engineer. That's funny. That's funny.
He was good friends with Marconi.
Marconi.
He invented radio, kind of. It was a joke.
Oh, who is Marconi? That sounds familiar.
He invented radio, pretty much.
Like invented the radio?
Yes.
When?
Oh, man.
Like 1700s?
Something like that. It was a long time ago.
Okay. Marconi. I guess I probably need to know about that guy if he invented the radio.
Well, I think he may not have. I don't know.
It probably not. All the stuff that we learned about in history, who knows if it's even real, you know?
He did something cool.
Yeah. Cool enough for Carrie to remember him.
Yeah, that's true. I don't remember much. But I probably remembered it wrong.
It's all that chicken cock you
Tell you what,
drink.
that stuff is gone.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we got Caroline Levitt still at the podium taking questions on Venezuela. This is the main thing I was looking for, so let's dip back live into that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yes.
So there are reports that the administration is demanding that Venezuela cut ties with China, Russia, Iran, and Cuba. Can you confirm?
I'm sorry?
Reports that the administration has essentially demanded that Venezuela cut ties with China, Russia, Iran, and Cuba. Can you confirm that?
Well, those alleged demands were made in a classified briefing by Secretary Rubio, and I know that there's a lot of leaks coming out of these classified briefings, so I'm not going to confirm or deny or get into what the Secretary has said in classified settings to members of Congress. But I think that the administration has made it quite clear to the interim authorities in Venezuela that this is the Western Hemisphere, and American dominance is going to continue under this president.
If I could just ask, there have also been reports that the U.S. could potentially buy Greenland as one potential option on the table. What would such an offer look like? Is there anything monetarily you could provide, any details there?
Well, that's something that's currently being actively discussed by the president and his national security team. And I would point out that the acquisition of Greenland by the United States is not a new idea. This is something that presidents dating back to the 1800s have said is advantageous for America's national security. The president has been very open and clear with all of you and with the world that he views it in the best interest of the United States to deter Russian and Chinese aggression in the Arctic region. And so that's why his team is currently talking about what a potential purchase would look like.
Caroline.
Jackie.
Caroline, just following up on Greenland, why not rule out taking it by military force?
I know that past presidents and past leaders have often ruled things out. They've often been very open about ruling things in and basically broadcasting their foreign policy strategy to the rest of the world, not just to our allies, but most egregiously to our adversaries. That's not something this president does. All options are always on the table for President Trump as he examines what's in the best interests of the United States. But I will just say that the president's first option always has been diplomacy. Again, Look at Venezuela. He tried ardently to strike a good deal with Nicolas Maduro, and he told him, I will use the United States military, and you will not like it if you don't take such a deal. And look at what happened. With respect to Iran, the president said the same thing, right? He tried to have serious interest in a deal with the Iranian regime with respect to their nuclear capabilities. They were not interested, and so Operation Midnight Hammer happened, which was another remarkable military success under the leadership of this commander-in-chief. So the president keeps his options open, but diplomacy is always the first.
Very quickly, just one additional follow-up on that. Does the president recognize Denmark's ownership as part of the kingdom? Because there have been some Republican senators questioning, the claim that Denmark has to Greenland. Is the president in that camp with them, questioning the legality of?
I have not heard him question it personally, but you're welcome to ask him yourself next time you have the chance.
Sanctions are being lifted for Venezuela. We got to lift some sanctions to let the oil come in. Can you talk about that just very briefly?
Yes. So the U.S. is selectively rolling back sanctions to enable the transport and the sale of Venezuelan crude and oil products to the global markets. Yes.
Caroline.
Annie.
Thank you. There are some reports from Venezuela that the country's leaders are cracking down on the population, specifically suppressing public expression of support for Maduro's ouster. Is that kind of behavior consistent with what the president wants to see, how the president wants to see the leaders to take on the population?
It would not be consistent, and I'll let the president's national security team speak further on that. I know they are well aware and tracking. Kelly.
Two questions. One, on the seized vessels, the Bella, the Sophia, can you tell us where they're headed, what happens to any existing cargo, and you reference personnel but potentially facing prosecution? That's one thing I'd like to follow on. And then
on the Bella.
Yes, okay. And on Annie's question, if I could also ask, does the administration believe that the interim regime should release all political dissidents and prisoners and return detained Americans?
That's not a question that I've personally spoken about to the president with, so I will let him answer that question. I don't want to make new policy at this podium today with respect to Venezuela. With respect to the two ships that you mentioned, I spoke with you about the Bella 1. There was another vessel this morning, the Sophia, that in coordination with the Department of War, the Department of Homeland Security apprehended it. This is a stateless, sanctioned, dark fleet motor tanker, and this occurred without incident. This vessel was operating in international waters and conducting illicit activities in the Caribbean Sea. The U.S. Coast Guard is escorting the Sophia to the United States for final disposition. To answer your question, Kelly, directly, this was through Operation Southern Spear. The Department of War is unwavering in its mission to crush illicit activity in the Western Hemisphere. And as the president has repeatedly stated, we're going to defend our homeland and restore security and strength across the Americas. Dasha, go.
Caroline, thank you and Happy New Year.
Thanks, you too.
Two questions, one on Venezuela, one on Greenland. You've repeatedly at the podium called the current leadership in Venezuela interim leadership. There are Republicans and Democrats alike that say they want to see elections in Venezuela. The president had said it's too soon to do that right now, but is there a timeline for elections in Venezuela? Is he committed to seeing that this year, for example?
You just said the president has answered that question, so I will reiterate what the president has said a few times now to all of you, which is that it's too premature and too early to dictate a timetable for elections in Venezuela right now.
Caroline, you just talked to Jackie about diplomacy first, right? The Danes have repeatedly said they are willing to collaborate on all of the concerns that the president has, whether it's more troops, mineral rights, intelligence sharing. Why does the president feel he needs to own Greenland and not and put out the threat of military action when this could be done through diplomacy?
Well, who said diplomacy isn't taking place behind the scenes, Dasha? I mean, the president is interested in diplomacy. His national security team is as well. And of course, he's always willing to pick up the phone for everybody and hear out their concerns. But the president is the president of the United States of America, and he's always going to be very clear about what he views as being in our nation's best interest. Reagan.
Thanks, Caroline. I have a question for you on Venezuela, and then I'd love to ask you about Minnesota and Tim Walz.
Sure.
On Venezuela, I'm wondering, does the administration hope to start sending more Venezuelan migrants back home or have them self-deport if the situation in the country improves?
As far as I'm concerned, the policies of the Trump administration and the Department of Homeland Security have not changed. All those illegally present in the country are subject to deportation. And I would just like to add, how we got here. The president was very clear on the campaign to the American public, and it's one of the many reasons they resoundingly reelected him back to this office, that he was not only going to crush foreign drug cartels, but that he was not going to stand by and watch as the illegitimate Venezuelan regime was sending illegal criminals and gang members and rapists and murderers to our country, which happened to the tune of thousands under the previous administration and president. And so there could be nothing more America first than this operation that took place last week. And I would just remind all of you in this room that there were innocent Americans like Jocelyn Nungare who lost their lives at the hands of dangerous Venezuelan criminals who were sent here by the Maduro regime. And that has been the president's North Star and guiding principle throughout his entire policy since January 20th.
Tim Walz in Minnesota. Does the administration believe that Tim Walz potentially dropped out of the governor's race because he could be under criminal investigation?
I don't know if there's a criminal investigation. If there was, I wouldn't be able to comment on it from up here, to be honest with you. But I think Tim Walz probably dropped out of the race because he realizes he no longer has the support of the people of his own state, which is a remarkable downfall considering he was the #2 on the Democrat Party's ticket just about a year ago. When it comes to Minnesota, the fraud that we have seen, the wide scale of fraud is really remarkable. It's egregious. I would encourage every single journalist in this room to go to Minnesota and to cover it yourselves. As for the Trump administration, we have officials who have been on the ground almost every day. Secretary Noem was there yesterday. Secretary Bessent will be traveling there later this week to talk about the fraud and to do a roundtable on this very topic. And I would just like to leave you with an update. To date, the Department of Justice has charged 98 total defendants in several Medicaid fraud and related case programs. 64 were convicted, and 85 of the 98 charged were of Somali descent. The DOJ has also issued over 1,700 subpoenas, executed over 130 search warrants, and they have now added more attorneys to their office there to absorb the case flow. DHS is on the ground going door to door conducting large-scale criminal and HSI investigations. They have also sent approximately 2,000 agents to Minneapolis to assist with law enforcement and immigration enforcement. As I said, Secretary Noem was on the ground yesterday. The Department of Health and Human Services has also begun requiring a justification and photo evidence for all child care related payments nationwide, and they required Minnesota to conduct a full audit of all child care centers. They also froze $185 million in funding to Minnesota. And Dr. Oz, who was just here, also notified Governor Walz they're going to begin auditing Medicaid recipients and deferring payments on claims based on waste, fraud, and abuse. The Department of Labor is also conducting a targeted review of Minnesota's unemployment program. Department of Agriculture requiring Minnesota to conduct recertification for SNAP recipients, and HUD has launched investigations into the public housing. SBA has also suspended nearly 7,000 borrowers amid suspected fraudulent activity. So, with all of that, rest assured this is an all-hands-on-deck effort from the entire administration to get to the bottom of this and to ensure that the ripping off of taxpayers in the state of Minnesota, and it won't just be Minnesota, it'll be any state across this country where fraud has taken place, and we are protecting law-abiding, tax-paying American citizens. Phil.
Thank you, Caroline. Just to follow up on Greenland, there are treaties already on the books that give the United States access to the island. They can construct and maintain military bases there. We can house personnel on the island. The U.S. has control of landings, takeoffs, anchorages, etc. So I'm curious if you could just spell out for the American public what specifically would the U.S. gain by taking control of Greenland that the U.S. doesn't already have access to right now?
More control over the Arctic region and ensuring that China and Russia and our adversaries cannot continue their aggression in this very important and strategic region. And there would be many other benefits as well that, again, the president and his national security team are currently talking about. Jeff, I'll give you another one. Welcome.
A broad stand-up question on foreign policy. Are you concerned about increasing tensions with Russia because of the tanker seizures? And how does the U.S. action in Venezuela impact the ongoing relationship with China and the president's relationship with President Xi?
I think think the president has very open, honest, and good relationships with both President Putin of Russia and also President Xi of China. He has spoken with them numerous times, as you know, since coming to office about a year ago, and I believe that those personal relationships are going to continue. But as for the president and the United States, he's going to enforce our policy that's best for the United States of America. And with respect to these ships seizures, that means enforcing the embargo against all dark fleet vessels that are illegally transporting oil, and only legitimate commerce, to answer your question much earlier, Rachel, determined by the United States, is going to be permitted. And that's the policy of this administration, and he's not afraid to implement it.
One more stand back. Just one more stand back. I just gonna ask the last one. I remember asking the president at the very beginning of his term if he was committed to Article 5 and NATO, and he said yes. Has his stance on NATO or his commitment to NATO changed?
Did you see his statement earlier today? He said we will always be there for NATO, even if they are not there for us. And I think that answers your question directly. Yes.
Just to follow up on what Jeff was saying there, will the president commit that if any NATO members are attacked, the United States will come to it?
Again, the president addressed this directly himself this morning after seeing the coverage from all of you in this room on television, and he made it very clear we're always going to be there for NATO, even if they have not done right by the United States of America. And they have not. They have finally increased their defense spending at the request of this president, but it was only because of this president that they did that. We'll take a couple more. Michael, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. Happy New Year and congratulations.
Thank you.
Two questions,
You
if I may.
too.
One on healthcare, one on Mexico. On healthcare, the president says he wants Republicans to be flexible on the Hyde Amendment in order to pass healthcare legislation. But what is the White House's message to pro-life voters who say federal funding for abortion goes against their values?
Well, the president did not change the administration's policy. It was President Trump who signed an executive order protecting the Hyde Amendment. It's the Trump administration that has taken multiple actions on various fronts to ensure that taxpayer dollars are not funding the practice of abortion. What the president was saying yesterday was Republicans, and frankly Democrats too, need to show a little bit more flexibility so we can actually get something done with respect to the issue of health care. Republicans have amazing ideas. The president himself, as we spoke about earlier, has launched this Most Favored Nation drug pricing initiative, has cut good deals with Big Pharma. He wants to see Republicans and Democrats too, if they're willing, codify those executive orders into law so that these good deals can remain and these prices can continue to be lowered long after this president and this deal maker in chief is gone. The president's talked a lot about health savings accounts and giving more money back to the healthcare consumer rather than to these giant insurance companies, and he's been very outspoken and tough on them too, and I think you'll see more and hear more from him directly on that issue. So he wants to see Congress get something done with respect to health care, and that was the point that he was driving home yesterday.
To go, Caroline.
Haley.
President
All right,
Trump
we'll,
says the drug cartels are
We'll dip out of this because it's going a little longer than I thought it would. We'll take a break, come back on the other side. A lot to talk about. All the issues that they're hitting on with the questions that they're asking are stuff that we're going to talk about today. We'll get into it when we get back on the other side. Remember I said I was going to bring drumsticks?
I did. Look at you.
I brought them.
Pretty good drummer. You look good. Little offbeat, but that's all right.
Oh, I got it. My kid's a drummer. He taught me everything I know.
Well, good. That's pretty good. I gave it to you.
A Minnesota police responding to an ICE-involved shooting. That's been going on this morning as well. No information on that. Also, speaking of shootings, there was a 2-year-old shot between Hayden and Nectar this morning. The child, when police got there, the child was found unresponsive and taken to the hospital, but I haven't seen any. Let me double check. I didn't see an update on that. Let's see how long ago that was. Just a few minutes ago. And if there's more info on that, I'll let you know. Can't imagine what had happened there. Seems, when it comes to a 2-year-old being shot, I got to believe that it maybe was an accident, but definitely a bad situation. So we've got that. The press briefing going on. Also, Pete Hegseth and Secretary Rubio briefing the House. They just recently briefed the Senate on everything related to Venezuela. And then after that will come the grandstanding, as senators will come out and they'll talk about how angry they are about the information they got. And my favorite, by the way, has been, we touched on this yesterday, Chuck Schumer being upset that the Trump administration did not give him a heads up that they were going to be going in and getting Maduro. The last thing, if you're going to go in and kidnap a dictator, the last thing you want to do is tell Chuck Schumer. That's why you weren't told. He's like, but he lied to me. This is very, very troubling. Very troubling for me and my fellow Democrats. Well, guess what? You're always troubled, and we don't care. It's the first time in a while that I've kind of been at a point where I really don't care what the Democrats say or think, because they have no power. They really don't. They're so backed into a corner at this point that it doesn't even matter what they do. It doesn't matter what articles they put out. It doesn't matter what hit piece they write about the Trump administration. It's ineffective. It's Teflon Don. Because as they attack, as they continually criticize, Trump continues to take action. And that's all people want. That's all. Now, granted, there's going to be a lot of people that buy into the media hype. There's going to be a lot of people that, for instance, say that we're now going to war with Russia because the oil tanker that we seized had a Russian flag on it. But Democrats themselves, Democrats on Capitol Hill, you got nothing, cuz. You got nothing at all. And that's the way I like it. All right, a lot of stuff. Let's talk about yesterday being the anniversary of January 6th when we get back right after this. Dude, I'm going to be doing this every time. Air drums make me so happy. I don't know why.
Then, by all means. It's pretty good.
I'm getting after it, man. I got to put those away. It's taken away from me doing my job. Noto Roofing, NOTOroofing.com. NOTOroofing.com. I should come up with a little jingle. A jingle for Noto. I think we've got enough commercials with jingles on them, don't we? Because, after you hear a jingle for the first 10 or 20 times, it's kind of like, whoo.
But, it sticks in your head.
Well, that's the other aspect. It sticks in your head, and it ends up being effective because you end up, while it might drive you crazy, at least it's in your head,
You remember the number, usually.
Everything. Always make a jingle with your number, such as Noto Roofing, 205-848-2299. Can you remember that? 205-848-2299. Noto Roofing, get that free roof inspection. They got you covered on all the things roof related. And they're giving you the free roof inspection. Also, the complimentary roof tune-up. You can't beat that. They are looking out for you, especially when you tell them you're part of the Hey Now Nation. They get you hooked right on up. They don't upsell you. They treat you right. They treat you decently. And they do a fantastic job. So, 205-848-2299, online, NOTOroofing.com. Let me backtrack to January 6th real quick. So, yesterday was J6, the 5th anniversary, and I really didn't talk a whole lot about it, and that's on me. Because normally, on January 6th, I talk a lot about it. And in the years following J6, at least since I've been on this show, I have always taken that day to talk about what had gone down that day. But it's a lot more widely known as to how all that played out, opposed to what was known about it in the first year or two. A lot of truth has come out about it. And you have to be living under a rock if you do not realize that the government was involved in this. Not because of conspiracy theories, but because of actual evidence, because of testimony, because of FBI Director Christopher Wray admitting that there were FBI agents in the crowd. It's all out there. There's no denying it whatsoever. And so you would think for Democrats, they would maybe back away from the issue of January 6th, that people are learning a little too much about it, and instead of making this our 9/11, we will just move on to something else. But Democrats can't do that because according to them, January 6th was the worst day in modern American history. It was a day that almost toppled democracy. Democracy almost died on that day if it weren't for the actions of a few brave people, such as brave police officers and brave congressmen and women like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. If it weren't for those individuals, democracy would have, in fact, been taken down. And so Jimmy Kimmel, last night on his show, commemorated January 6th by saying this. Why is he so unfunny? I mean, like, he is so unfunny. How do you still have a job being that unfunny? So he goes through and he gives the typical talking points, which, again, could have stood the litmus test there for a while about courts ruling that the election wasn't stolen. No, none of that's true. Courts denied to hear the case. Most of them were too afraid to, including the Supreme Court. But none of what Jimmy Kimmel said was true. It's all made up. Speaking of revisionist history. But yet, it was the worst day. The worst day. And in order to appropriately commemorate such a dark day, Senate Democrats, congressional Democrats, took to the steps of the Capitol and held a candlelight vigil for January 6th. And all the politicians that died on that day. Oh, wait, no. There wasn't any politicians that died that day. They held a vigil for the other people that... Oh, no. No, they wouldn't hold the one for Ashley Babbitt. Or Roseanne Boylan. They held a candlelight vigil for, you know, their comfort. And they sang God Bless America right there on the Capitol steps. Dude, it was quite a sight. They even held a fake January 6th hearing. Some kind of, I don't know, kind of like the, what was it called? The Select Committee, the J6 Select Committee. They held a committee hearing with all the top Democrats to discuss January 6th. And how awful of a day that was. Nancy Pelosi was there, and she had a lot to say on this 5th year anniversary. Imagine having to sit through that hearing, by the way.
What are they trying to accomplish exactly? I mean, I'm trying to figure out. It was 5 years ago, right?
Yep.
And they have no other problems to be working on. Correct? There's just nothing to do.
Nothing to do.
So let's have a candlelight vigil and relive the only thing we can possibly talk about.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Okay, good.
It was a fake committee. It wasn't an official committee hearing. It was a fake committee hearing set up. I don't even know where they were at. I don't even know if they were at the Capitol, but they were in some room testifying to each other. All Democrats, by the way. testifying to each other about how bad January 6th was. People, if you were actually winning the narrative battle of January 6th, people would have been paying attention to that. But even the news channels didn't cover it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. A lot of people, even people that feel like January 6th was a super bad thing that was done by Trump and Trump supporters, those people don't even care. They're like, I mean, have we not moved on from this? Like, the Capitol's still there. We're still having elections. Nancy Pelosi's still drunk. Like, not a whole lot changed after January 6th. Other than the certification of a fraudulent election. But January 6th is on the minds of a lot of people. And even Tim Walz, with all he has going on, January 6th is at the front of his mind. So much so that when he held his press conference yesterday to explain that he is stepping out of the race, he is no longer going to run for re-election as governor of Minnesota, that when he is asked about if he's resigning over the massive amount of fraud that's happened under his watch in Minnesota, if that's the reason he's resigning, he ends up thinking about January 6th. Yes, I'm resigning, but today's January 6th, and I'm going to need you reporters to show some respect to the Pearl Harbor of our time. The Pearl Harbor of the 2000s. It's so out of pocket. Calvin's on the line. Calvin, what's up?
Hey, I was just going to comment, that's just a bunch of bull crap with January 6th. It's just another thing that these Democrats are disappointed in that they've tried. Also, another reason it's sad for me, it's my birthday, so nothing's usually going on for that either.
Man.
But I just wanted to I know, it kind of destroyed that. It's like, hey, guys, what are you doing today? Oh, it's January 6th. Oh, okay, I wanted to go out and have some drinks. But
if you're friends with only Democrats, you're never going to get to party on your birthday.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I just want to put my 2 cents in. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, buddy. Maybe, I don't know. If my birthday was on January 6th, I'd do a January 6th theme party. I would get people to dress up like the protesters of January 6th. I would dress up as the QAnon shaman. And then I would have other people wear their riot gear. I'd designate a few friends to dress up as Antifa. I'd have some other friends dress up as undercover federal agents. And, what else do you have at birthday parties? Like a piñata, We could have a piñata replica of the Capitol, and we all take sticks and we hit the Capitol like we're busting the windows.
That's very insensitive.
But who's going to dress up as Ashley Babbitt?
Who's going to dress up as all the FBI agents undercover?
Yeah. We have to designate all that, but, yeah. But then somebody's going to have to dress up as Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, and, some poor soul's going to have to dress up as Mike Pence,
I think they should play themselves.
Yeah.
We'll invite them over.
No, they're not coming to my birthday party.
Why not?
Not to my J6 party.
I mean, you want a good party. That's a
Don't want
party
it.
group.
Don't want it. Although, Nancy Pelosi could bring the booze.
She'll have to. She can't function without it.
205-545-9950. We are going to get an update on this ICE-related shooting at 12 p.m. Apparently, violent rioters had attacked an ICE agents with a car, attempted to run them over. And from what I understand, it looks like the ICE officer, in fear for his life, ended up shooting the driver of said car. Now, I don't know if this driver is dead or whatever, but left-wing lunatics going after ICE agents has now created a crime scene and a shooting in Minnesota. So we'll see how that plays out. We'll give you the press briefing on that and much more on this edition of The Line. Not that sports really matter right now. They will tomorrow. But is Josh Niblett going to Colorado to coach with Deion Sanders?
That's a rumor I heard.
Says Gainesville, Georgia coach Josh Niblett informed his team that he was resigning and taking the position of tight end coach at Colorado.
I believe it.
Huh.
Ty Simpson's leaving too.
Oh, yeah, that's out there too. Wait, Josh Niblett's pretty tan. You think he uses the tanning bed?
I imagine he probably has seen it a couple of times.
Well, I hate, and I do too. I'm just asking because he looks like he uses it a lot. Yeah, Ty Simpson as well. There were rumors that if he didn't get a good grade from NFL scouts, he was possibly going to go to Tennessee. Wouldn't that have been something?
He wasn't going to go to Tennessee.
That was
he wasn't going to go to Tennessee.
That's what Chris Lowe was saying.
Well, Chris Lowe don't know what he's talking about.
Do you know Chris Lowe?
Yeah, I know Chris.
You know him personally?
I've met him.
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't remember me, but that's
sure
okay.
He would. You're Paul Feinbaum's producer.
He probably remember me, yeah.
I don't know. That's what he was saying.
He's just making stuff up. Why would you go to Tennessee if you're at Alabama?
Tennessee needs a quarterback.
Mm.
I'm not saying I want Ty Simpson at Tennessee.
I mean, I'm
but
sure a lot of Alabama fans are saying you can have him.
He pretty much are. And that's why I'm good on it.
He's
Like, go to the NFL.
He's a third-ranked quarterback in the draft.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. Well, so,
I know.
So does that mean it was bad coaching with these losses that Alabama suffered?
I would say that had a pretty good bit to do with it, yeah. Yeah.
That's what a lot of people are saying.
I mean,
I'm going to bring Damian in here tomorrow and talk to him about it and see what he says.
If they could have found a running game this year, it'd have been a lot different.
Yeah, you can't
But
be
when
one-sided.
when everybody knows you're going to throw on just about every down, it's pretty hard. So he did a good job for what he had.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't be one-dimensional. You'll be donezo. You can't do it. I also saw a story out of, we were driving home from the podcast last night, and the fog was so bad that it looked like the power was out at Buc-ee's.
Jeez.
That's how bad the
It's
fog
pretty
was.
thick.
Yeah. And then I heard a story over in Leeds at the Chick-fil-A that some lady robbed the Chick-fil-A with mace in the drive-thru, and then she drove down to Wetumpka to the casino.
Yep.
And gambled, and then left Wetumpka, or left the casino, and then police chased her, and she wrecked her car. Did you see that?
I saw the news story.
Wow, dude.
People are so stupid.
Y'all are wild, man. Why is everybody so wild these days? Everybody's so uptight. Y'all need to chill.
Robbing a Chick-fil-A with mace.
Yeah, robbing money from God's chicken place.
I mean,
And then go into the devil's playground of a casino.
It's terrible.
Can't do that. No wonder you wrecked your car.
She wrecked it all right.
God said, not today.
She's lucky to be alive.
Yes, she is. That was a pretty bad looking wreck. I mean, it was all the way off in the woods from the pictures I saw.
It was, you get what you deserve.
You can't always get what you want, but as they say, sometimes you get what you need. And what you needed is a stay in jail. And you got that, ma'am. You got that. All right, so we're talking about ICE. We're talking about Tim Walz of Minnesota. Tim Walz mentioned in that last clip I played you the 2,000 federal agents that have been deployed to Minnesota that are cracking down on the massive immigration problem in the Somali community. And so Tim Walz is complaining, they're just doing this for the cameras and everything. Well, guess what? If they're just doing it for the cameras, they're not going to be arresting anybody, but they're about to arrest a lot of people. And so whatever you want to say. Again, this goes back to Democrats yapping and not actually being able to do anything. They're just stuck in a corner. And it's so bad that especially like Tim Walz, who thinks he's going to be able to resign and avoid accountability, that he's going to be able to, leave at the end of his term and not face accountability. I think he's mistaken. He even slipped up during that same press conference and admitted that all of the fraud that was going on in Minneapolis was in fact his fault. So because of that accountability of the massive fraud that you are now admitting is happening in your state, your punishment for that is simply to resign. Not so fast, my friend. Not so fast. Tim Walz, he is incredibly, this is another reason he's not running for re-election, he is incredibly unpopular in Minnesota right now. Think about what a dramatic change that is. You go from the second in line, the number 2 on the presidential ticket, to being hated in your own state in a year's time. You got to really suck to pull that off. And Tim Walz really sucks. Probably in more ways than one. But I'm not judging.